Number three, the other thing that I found that software development leadership doesn't quite seem to understand, we need to sequence our work. Agile is about when. Typical waterfall project management is not about when, it is about what. Meaning it doesn't matter when I do any of the pieces in a project, as long as I get all the pieces done in the prescribed time. You've been there before. Agile takes a different approach. Agile says we're going to deliver the most valuable things as quickly as possible. So when it becomes important. So the sequence with which we do the work does not matter so much in waterfall other than dependencies, but it matters critically in an agile world. So I use this term daily with my product owners and management. And I say, we need to not just talk about the priority of the work, which denotes to me just business value. We need to talk about the sequence of the work, and we need to sequence it in a way that is derived from something called weighted shortest job first, which you all might be familiar with, which is mathematically, we deliver the most value for the shortest amount of time, which means that we need to know two things about everything that we do. We need to know the value of the work as it's delivered with relation to the value of all other things that could be delivered, which is relative value exercises. And we need to know how long does it take us to deliver? What is the effort involved in delivering this, or the time or the duration of delivering this? If we know those two factors, we can now take that ratio of value to effort and take the highest numbers and sequence those first, which is why I want to get back to sequence. So in Larry's ideal world, we take everything in our backlog. I think you're used to this term backlog, so I don't think that's foreign to you. We take the stories, and every story has value and effort associated with it. And our goal is to get our product owner to sequence the work so that we deliver the highest value over the shortest amount of time. Now, we can't just deliver based on that ratio, because we do have dependencies. We do have other things like, maybe legal things, maybe contractual promises, HIPPO method, highest paid person's opinion. So we may deviate from that sequence, but the whole key is that we use that sequencing method because it's going to allow us to deliver the most value over the shortest amount of time, which is what Agile is about. And when I use the word value, I'm putting in the word quality, just so you know, because people have asked me that question. Value denotes quality. Because if you deliver a product that's not a quality product, it doesn't really have the value that you promise. Number four thing that they seem not to quite get a grip on. There's a difference, and a fundamental difference between physical work and knowledge work. We as human beings have been around for about 70,000 years. We can debate that. Our brains evolved through evolution over millions of years. Those millions of years of evolution and the 70,000 years, give or take, of brain evolution as human beings evolved in a physical world. It evolved in the simple world, and to some degree, maybe a complicated world, but we didn't evolve for the complex world. We did not evolve for the knowledge-based world. That is something new. If we were to put this on a timeline, I don't know if you've seen this before, where the first day of the year was the beginning of human evolution, we would be well into the end of December before we got to knowledge work. So this is not something that is common to us. And unfortunately, our intuitions, therefore, because our knowledge has been based and our physical brain evolution has been based on the physical world, we're good with that. And our intuitions are about the physical world. So leaders who lead by intuition in the knowledge-based world lose out on a lot of opportunity, because they use their intuition that was based on evolution and thinking about the physical-based world, and they apply it to the knowledge-based world. Much about the knowledge-based world is counterintuitive, meaning it goes against our initial intuition, and we have to fight that. I've been saying this for years, that if I were to meet a C-level executive in the elevator and I only had 30 seconds to tell them something that I think would be most profound, I would tell them, when working in the knowledge-based world, do not trust your intuition. I know that sounds strange, but if you're familiar with a gentleman named Dan Kahneman, he is the psychologist who won the Nobel Prize in economics for his work in behavioral economics. He is a teacher at Berkeley still. He wrote a book called Thinking fast and slow. He did an interview on a podcast with a wonderful gentleman named Shane Parrish. And if you're not familiar with Shane, you should look it up. He has a wonderful blog called Farnham Street, where he talks about mental models and others. And he asked Kahneman the same question: what would you tell leaders in the knowledge-based world, basically? And Kahneman said the same thing. So I'm in good company here. We cannot rule by our intuition. We cannot trust our intuition when it comes to managing and leading knowledge workers, because it will often lead us astray. I'll give you one example. You're all familiar with probably the book Drive by Dan Pink. If you're not, this is another wonderful book that you should look into. He talks to us about how knowledge workers are motivated. And believe it or not, they're intrinsically motivated. They're not extrinsically motivated. Physical workers are extrinsically motivated. Knowledge workers are intrinsically motivated. So physical workers, we can use the carrot and the stick, which is what most management uses. Notice I didn't say the word leadership. That's what most management uses, but it doesn't work for knowledge workers, and that has been proven. Knowledge workers are intrinsically motivated, and they're motivated by three things that Dan Pink pointed out, among others, and that is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So as leaders, we need to understand how knowledge workers are fundamentally different from physical workers, and we need to align our incentives with autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And it's not that money doesn't matter, because when you ask somebody why they leave, they're going to tell you money. Because if you're not going to give me autonomy, mastery, and purpose, and the next guy down the street is not going to give me autonomy, mastery, and purpose, I'm going to go for the money. It's plain and simple. And of course, too, if you don't pay me enough, I'm going to go for the money, right? But the studies have all shown that once you get past a certain amount, it depends on where you live. It's more in San Francisco Bay Area, where I'm from. But I believe at one point in time, they did a study, and I think it was, for an average city, and this was about 10 years ago, $70,000 a year or more. As you increment past that kind of threshold, the amount of enjoyment and motivation that you get from additional money diminishes greatly. So you have to pay people enough, but as Pink says in his book, you have to pay them enough to get the issue of money off the table, and then you need to concentrate on autonomy, mastery, and purpose. This is the one thing too. He talks about innovation bonuses. Nobody should be given an innovation bonus. Knowledge workers want to do neat and interesting things. You probably should just get out of their way, let them do it.